And the DuSable Harbor, the DuSable Museum, and the DuSable Bridge are just a few places in the city named after Chicago's first resident.
So Krista Rose takes a closer look at his life in today's Did You Know?
Facts about Chicago's first settler are scarce. What we do know about Jean-Baptiste Pointe de Sable is that he was born in Haiti around 1745 to a French sailor father and an African slave mother. It's not clear what happened to his family or how his early life was spent. Some accounts say that DuSable's mother was killed by the Spanish, prompting his French father to take him back to France with him, and yet other accounts have him living in Haiti until he was a young adult. What we do know is that by the 1760s, DuSable winds up in the port city of New Orleans. It was in New Orleans that DuSable would make connections with trappers and traders moving up the Mississippi into what is today Illinois. By the early 1770s, DuSable made his way to Peoria, where he married a Potawatomi woman named Catherine. Together they had 2 children, and by 1780, they had settled along the Chicago River. It's here in what is today Pioneer Court that DuSable set up a home and a prosperous fur trading post. Traders used to come from all over the region to trade at the mouth of the Chicago River. DuSable served everyone from French to British to Native Americans, and he spoke half a dozen languages and dialects. By all accounts, he became a wealthy merchant, and though his home was modest outside, his property boasted bacon smokehouses, stables, huts for employees, a garden, and even an orchard. In 1800, DuSable sold his property and moved to St. Charles, Missouri. Now, it's believed in Missouri he made several bad investments because at the time of his death in 1818, he was practically destitute. There's a lot of mystery surrounding DuSable in his life, but the one thing we do know is that his settlement here helped establish what would become one of the greatest cities in the world. And that is a fact. Did you know?
Actually, I did.
I didn't know.
Because they tell you this story at the DuSable Museum when you go.
That's true.
Yeah,
Very cool.
One of the stories I dug up about DuSable that I really had no idea about was during the American Revolution, which a lot of people think that this area really didn't have anything to do with the Revolution. DuSable was living in Michigan City, Indiana, and the British were trying to control the Great Lakes, and they wanted to build a fort near his land. He protested, and they arrested him as a colonial sympathizer.
What?
Yeah, and they actually took him to the biggest fort in the region, which was Fort Mackinac, which is up on Lake Huron in the Straits of Mackinac. And the cool thing is, you can actually go up to Fort Mackinac. It's still there. It's this
cool.
beautiful living history fort. It's, I think, the oldest state historic site in Michigan, and it's really cool to check out. So if you're ever up that way, head over to the island and see it. But he was imprisoned there during the Revolutionary War, and then afterward, of course, came to Chicago. Made his way here.
Didn't know that it was this far west for the American Revolution.
Yeah. Well, the British were, you know, everything was pushing this way, and the fur trade was out here, so there was a lot of money to be had. The French were in parts of Canada, and they wanted to get in on it. The British wanted to get in on the fur trade.
Because this was still the French territory, right?
Well,
or just
it was
west of here.
Technically British-ish. It was all. It was
British-ish.
Yeah, it was Wild West. You know, everybody wanted to get a claim because there was a lot of money to be made out here. Not only that, fur trade with natural resources. You know, there's a ton of timber and shipping and all that stuff.
And then he loses his fortune, like without the help of the government. Like, what did he do? What happened?
Again, it's kind of spotty. I don't know exactly what investments he made that went bad, but he did end up destitute. He ended up in St. Charles, Missouri, and he's buried in a Catholic cemetery there. And when he was buried, it was in an unmarked grave because he really didn't have any money. But in 1968, the Illinois Sesquicentennial Commission went to the cemetery and they laid this tombstone down for him in his honor, in his memory, and that's still there today, and you can go check that out if you're ever in St. Charles, Missouri. But one other thing I found out about our good friend DuSable is in 1987, he was actually honored by the United States Postal Service with his very own stamp, and that debuted and was put into circulation for a while.
It was 22 cents.
Yeah, right? What is it now?
Like $152.
Dollars. You can't ship anything for 22 cents anymore. It's like when you see the old films from the 90s and they have the old gas prices like $1.25. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. And they still had what do you call those things that are outside and you put the quarter in?
A phone
Oh, a
booth?
payphone?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How quickly we forget. You know,
right?
what's that called? You put the money.
Here's my number and a dime.
We do
Call me
have
anytime.
some good Did You Knows coming up. I do want to say we're doing the history of Wacker Drive next week, so we learn
that's
all
cool.
about its
Upper and
development,
lower?
upper and lower, and lower.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
exactly.
it. Love it, Chris. Thank
All
you
right.
so much, my
No
dear.
problem.
We'll see you
As
next
always.
week.